Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey,
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And if we listen to each other's hearts and do and be apart, and I'm gonna sing this song some more. Woo.
You're putting that on your playlist for the ride home.
Possibly already have. Suckers. Hey guys, guess what we watched tonight? A big fan favorite. The fans have been asking for this. It is a Goofy movie.
Double entendre.
Oh yeah, because it's a Goofy movie.
It's just Goofy. It's
and
a
it's
Goofy,
a
but
movie
it's
about Goofy Goof.
Man, that Disney, so clever. So, if everyone remembers, Goof Troop was an animated series that ran from 1992 to 93. And it was about a Disney animated character that I feel like was not really, never had, his own thing. There wasn't, a lot about him. And I feel like they wanted to expand on that. So they made, a little backstory for Goofy. And in it, he was a single dad, lived with his son in the suburbs, lives next door to this guy.
So did you go back and read this? Because at first you told me that there were other sons in the Goof Troop movie. I knew you were lying.
So anyway,
but that's what I was imagining too. So it's surprising.
Yeah, I don't know what
then
that
who's
is.
the troop?
Right. Who is the Goof Troop?
Just the two of them?
Just him and his friends?
Does that constitute a troop?
Max and Goofy. Next door is Pete, his son PJ, Pete Jr. Yeah. But PJ it sounds like Pete has a wife, and then maybe there's another daughter. So maybe that's just the whole troop. Anyway, so Pete in old Goofy cartoons was kind of his nemesis.
Yeah.
And,
that's
evil.
what I thought, and I was confused.
So they kind of changed the story around. Anyway, so that was pretty successful. They found that everyone liked it. Liked this backstory they gave to Goofy, so they decided to make a movie, a spin-off sort of movie of it. And along comes this Goofy movie in 1995.
95. Yeah. And apparently a very popular movie for kids our age back then, because most of my friends are obsessed with it.
Shout out to Lindsay Buffoli, my friend.
Shout out.
Always, since we have covered this podcast, has wanted us to do this movie.
Yeah. Shout out, of course, to my friends, Mr. Alex Martin and Ms. Mary McGee, who also love this movie. And my friends were watching this when I came over to my other friend's house last weekend. And I was like, wow, I never saw this. And I just came at the right moment where that song, do I have to sing it again? Okay, fine. Just kidding.
If you listen to each other's hearts.
So I caught that part and I was like, yeah, it's a banger. It's a great song.
Jam.
It's a bop.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? We should cover this for the podcast because everyone wants us to. My friends love this movie. Let's see what the deal is.
And we should probably see it for the first time ever.
We should, yeah.
So unlike our lovely friends and many people out there, apparently, that this movie really shaped their childhood, we never saw this. Knew of it, just wasn't interested in it. I wasn't a Goofy person. I don't think a lot of people are, but
are you a Goofy person? I don't think so. Listen, I'll tell you what we were, though. We were chipmunk people, and we were obsessed with the Chipmunk Adventure.
We were DuckTales.
DuckTales. Woo!
Donald Duck.
Wait, that was the DuckTales song, right?
DuckTales.
Woo! everywhere. Man,
another,
we've talked about
like,
this before,
yeah.
but like the 90s cartoon theme song musicians.
This is exactly what that
where
is like.
are they? Can they put out like a hits album? Greatest
So good.
singers of the 90s.
So good.
Like,
Mid
man.
90s hot
They
gold
go on
right there.
they go on some fucking runs.
Yeah,
like
they
they're
do.
sweating after
See, the
singing.
Gummy Bear song.
Oh my god, the Gummy Bear.
All you have to know.
Gummy Bears. Oh my god, it's
Did
so
we
good.
confirm that guy was
Did like five
flash
did like
dance or something? Wasn't it
Michael Cimbello?
What?
No,
like that.
can't be right. I don't know. Anyways, hey, we love the 90s. So obviously we watched this and mostly loved it, I would say, for sure. I mean, obviously we're not children. So I think if we were children when we watched this, we would obviously have had us. Like, I can see why people loved it. Let's just say that. You have there's a lot going on, a lot of fun, a lot of laughter, a lot of silly, goofy moments, a couple scares.
I mean, it did feel slightly geared towards adolescent boys and their dads.
Boys.
Just slightly, because there's just really no role for women other than the
Other as sex objects or
what's her name?
horror
The main
shows.
girl?
Roxanne.
So, like, the moms are of the two, like, dad couples are like totally missing. You don't see them at all. And then it's the two sons, and then he has a crush on this girl at school, which we'll talk about. So women are like kind of missing in this. So I mean, that's okay. I mean, you can still really relate to this because it's in general a story about like being in. Is he in middle school or high school?
He's 14.
Okay. So early high school and just being like so over your parents, which is a stage that everyone goes through in either large or small ways. I mean, we weren't as bad as we talked about. Our older sister was pretty bad and really just rebelled and was like hated our parents so much. We didn't really fall into that trap so much.
We were perfect angels.
Yeah, we were pretty nice. We were sweeties, if you want to say it.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
But
Hello.
when you grow up and you do look back and you're like, oh my God, like, why? Like, you just have so much appreciation for your parents, like, as you get older.
Well,
and
you just
obviously
have-
once you become parents and all that stuff too.
You're just so concerned with like your life and like your like to me it was like end of my life would be if I didn't end up married to JC Chazé. Like that was the stakes.
Right.
Like
I mean,
pretty high.
Well, your world is so tiny too.
Where you're like,
And it's like,
obviously he's gonna pick me, a 14-year-old girl.
right, totally. And you're just constantly worried about your world and like what you're doing, and your parents are just there to kind of like bug you. You think, but really, you know, they obviously provide more than that, and you do appreciate that. Hopefully, you do. If you don't, like, you should look into that. Appreciate your parents, and it gets better. So everyone goes through this, so I think it's a relatable movie for like anyone. And it was really sweet in the way that Disney cartoons always are. And I myself appreciated just the background and the look into Goofy. You know, he wasn't given a lot to do.
In the movie or regular?
No, in like the cartoons.
Yeah.
Here's what he was given to do. Yahoo!
That's his trademark.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's not like a lot to him.
I mean, he's dumb.
There are
He's
a
dumb.
lot
That was the thing.
to many of the Disney
The
cartoons.
concept of Goofy was that he was a dog who talked but he was dumb.
Yeah.
And Pluto was a dog on four legs who was like a real dog, and he seemed maybe smart, but no, he was also dumb.
Goofy-
They were both dumb? I don't know.
Goofy was like a people dog, though.
What is this species? I need to know. Like, I don't get it, you guys. Are they dogs? Are they people? Are they people dogs? Why do they call the children instead of puppies? Why do they have weird black feet? And why do some of them wear gloves and some of them don't?
And for this
Or do
movie,
they all wear gloves?
it's like a dog town.
It's a dog world.
dog world, sorry. So everybody is a dog. Some people look like real dogs, and mostly they just look like pit bulls or, what did I say? Bulldogs.
They all have human character. Like,
Right.
there's breasts. Like,
Right.
the girl ones always have big boobs and tiny waists. And it's like, it's interesting. It's interesting.
And then when you get like the singer, who they're like all crazy about, called Power Strip. What is his name?
wow. power line.
Power line. I was close, but far. He is like basically like an equivalent to like an African American dog. He's like a black singer. So it's like a dog people world. Very, very interesting what they did there.
Anthropomorphic dogs.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's a goofy world, but it takes place in like the U.S. So this is about a road trip.
It's an
They're
alternate U.S.
driving across
Where
country.
are the people?
Yeah, it's like everything was just changed into a dog.
Yeah, and it's a world where Disney World exists. So you're like, what?
Right.
So do they like go to Disney World? And then Goofy's like, why am I on all the hats? Guys, hello? I know he's dumb, but like, what happened? Did they erase his memory? Like they kicked him out of the Disney castle?
Maybe in this
too
alternative world, there's like a person that is the equivalent to like what Goofy was.
What?
Think about it.
I don't get it.
Goofy
Is this like Inception?
Dogs replaced all the people. So what if like the Goofy character for Walt Disney is like a person?
Oh.
Get
Okay.
it?
Sure. Flip that narrative.
Anyways.
Yeah. Wow.
So, animated movie. We have some vocal talents. Here's who we got. So, the protagonist is Maxie Goof, who's played by voice actor primarily Jason Marsden. You might find his voice familiar as he was the voice of Thackeray Binks from Hocus Pocus, and also, but he did some acting, actual like real life acting. You may know him as what, sweetie?
Sorry, stepped on a noodle. It was weird. Voice acting. Wait, no, acting. As Nelson in Full House. Step by Step. I think he was on primarily. And Boy Meets World.
Boy Meets World. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
He's been all around.
Yeah, so definitely like all around the 90s. Bill Farmer is the man who voices Goofy. So I think he's been doing it for quite a long time. I mean, he was only born in the 50s, so I don't know when he started doing the Goofy voice, but he's done it for like a long, long time. Jim Cummings is the guy who plays Pete. You might recognize him. He's done like every single animated show you've ever
From the 90s? Or ever?
Like continues. He does almost all voice acting, though he did look
Only
familiar.
Disney shows?
No, everything.
Dave in the Know.
Like literally everything.
I'm
It was
naming
crazy.
shows. Maya the Bee?
He had so many credits. It was,
Umbrella
like,
Under the Umbrella
unbelievable.
Tree. He did all those? You're
No.
not verifying any of this. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
No, but just like the list was nuts. Kelly Martin from, I want to say, Life Goes On. Corky, remember that show? She was like the sister.
I thought she was. Wait.
But Face on the Milk Carton.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, she's in something. Yeah, Face on the Milk Carton. And wasn't she in like a soap opera-y kind of show?
Yeah. What?
Like Melrose Place or something?
I think so. She's Roxanne. You have Wallace Shawn of Princess Bride
ER.
fame. Oh,
I was close.
Princess Bride, Clueless, a lot of stuff. You know, bald
Toy
little
Story.
character actor
Love him.
as the principal. You have Jenna Von Oy, also known as Six from
Oh
Blossom,
my God.
as Stacy, who's a friend of Roxanne. Yeah, with the braces.
Wow.
And then they had Julie Brown and Joey Lawrence credited as characters named Lisa and Chad. Were those other kids in the school? Maybe. Yeah.
But not enough to be like, that's
Yeah.
Julie Brown.
I think
and
they had bigger parts and then they cut it down or something. Yeah.
the nerve.
And then this is the best. So we're watching this and there's this guy whose name is Cheddar because he's like always eating Cheese Whiz out of a can. And we're watching it with Sweetie Jimmy here, and he's like, "Oh, that's Pauly Shore," and it sounds just like Pauly Shore. We're like, "Oh my God, like funny." And then I'm looking at IMDb, and there's no Pauly Shore to be found. I'm like, "I'm sorry, you're wrong. Like he did not."
I knew he was right.
Cheddar.
I knew you were right, Jimmy.
And, and then I read down more in the trivia, and then it said something about how Pauly Shore wanted to do the film but just wanted to remain uncredited because he didn't want to like take over his popularity to like take over the movie like Robin Williams I guess, did that for Aladdin. Like he didn't.
Oh,
he was
Polly.
uncredited, and we were like, "What?" Like, well, I mean, okay, I get
Calm
Pauly Shore was a
down.
big actor of the time, but this is a children's movie. I'm not necessarily the same audience you would have for like Biodome or Son-in-Law or Encino Man. So I'm not sure like what he was so worried
What's
about.
the conflict here?
But good for you. The guy looked like Pauly Shore sort of and acted like him. So
Yeah.
you would be.
He seemed like a stoner.
yeah, he
so
was a stoner,
made sense.
14-year-old.
Made sense.
Instead of smoking, just ate Cheez Whiz all the time. Anyway. And then Powerline, which is, the singer, big popular singer. who's kinda- yeah, okay, that's enough. Based on like Prince and
Bobby Brown.
and who else? I said
Michael
someone else.
Jackson.
Michael Jackson, right? Okay, so Bobby Brown actually did
What?
voice him
The
and sang
singing?
all the songs.
No, it
Hold
says
on,
the songs
hold on.
was Tevin something.
Hold on. But was fired because of substance abuse. So they
Bobby!
re-recorded all the songs
Bobby!
with somebody else.
Oh my God, Bobby,
So,
come on!
dang.
We were rooting for you.
No, that's a real bummer. And like,
Jesus.
wow, what do you have to do to get fired from an
Fucking-
animated
listen, though.
movie?
Listen though, Tevin, I love your voice. I love that your name is Tevin instead of Kevin, and I'm happy about
Campbell, was it?
it. Sure,
It was it?
maybe is that somebody?
Yeah, that was a big '90s singer.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is him.
Oh, nice.
I should know because I just had it on Spotify.
Yeah.
Let's see, Tevin Campbell.
There's a Tevin Campbell song that I love.
Oh boy, what a glorious night. Anyways, that's it for
Yeah, that's it. For,
cameos,
for,
voice
voice
talent. Excellent. All right. Anything else before we begin?
Wow, Eye to Eye is number 2 for Tevin.
Obviously, it's a great song.
Campbell.
A little confusing on the title. I had trouble deciphering it. Needed Sweetie's help on that one. I thought it was 2 in parentheses. That's what I thought. And I was like, that's an interesting choice. I love this one-person comedy act.
Sorry, I'm looking. What song is this? Oh, this is a song. Okay, this is a Tevin Campbell song I love. You never heard the song?
Was he a child?
Yeah. He was like young.
But then why did they need, wouldn't Bobby have been too old? I mean,
Well, this is in 91.
just like Powerline.
Yeah.
Cool. Love it. Go Tevin. I hope you're still out there, Tevin, because I'm impressed. I'm impressed
See
by
if
your
the voice
talent.
matches. what you're
All
doing.
right. Okay. Okay. Can we start the song? I kind of remember.
Yeah,
it.
remember?
Sure, maybe.
All
yeah.
over the radio in the 90s,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Anyway, so
Vaguely.
Goofy movie. Let's get into it. Let's get goofy.
Okay.
It's time for the sweet synopsis.
Yeah, sweeties.
Yahoo! Or how many cups of sugar does it take to get to the moon?
That's a good question. Max Goof.
3?
A little more than 3, I think. Max Goof is a 14-year-old teenager who's just really head over heels for this dog girl or a girl with a dog nose, if you want, Roxanne, whom he has sex dreams about. Okay, guys, this dream in the beginning.
I gotta be honest, it made me uncomfortable.
Excuse me?
Made me very uncomfortable.
What is happening? Like, we need to be privy to Max's wet dreams? Like, hello? But essentially, it turns into a nightmare because he dreams he turns into his father. And so we gather that he's, like, somewhat embarrassed by his father, who is Goofy. If my dad's name was Goofy, like, maybe I'd be embarrassed, too, a little bit. But...
Well, let's clarify the name here. So he's Max Goof.
Sure.
And then
Allegedly.
Goofy is
Goofy Goof.
Goofy Goof. Or is it one of those things where, like, your last name they call you, like, as your first name kind of a thing? So maybe
This isn't South Korea.
He does have a real first name, but nobody calls it that.
Maybe.
You know, like-
you could be right.
Yeah.
It could be like,
Here's an example.
Okay.
Sweetie Jimmy here has a friend named Eric. His name's Eric, right? Rogalski? Yeah. Eric Rogalski. They call him Rogie.
I mean, that's
So-
just a nickname, so.
But still, it's his last name. Part of his last name.
Okay. So, yeah. So maybe Goofy's name is Artemis Goof. Yeah, Artie or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we can dive into the history and then
And
we'll
if this
see.
is a movie
we'll see.
centered around, a little bit geared towards men, I feel like it's very a main man thing to do. Jimmy has literally 5 friends like that.
Wow. Guys are pretty cool. Call my friend by the last name. No big deal. But yeah, so
to the point, like I don't even know what their real first name
right,
is.
like don't need it anymore. We don't need
Or
that.
I do now, but it took me like a year.
Frivolous name. So Max, right? So Max's goal in life is to get this Roxanne chick to like him. So here's his plan. On the final day of school, he doesn't go to our school. Brady Bunch reference, Brady movie. So on the final day of school, the principal is doing like an assembly and being like, "Don't waste your summer hanging out with friends." And you're like, "What is this fucker?" So I swear to God, these adults in these kids' movies, like, no soul. Obviously, we were terrified of growing up.
them out.
We were terrified of growing up.
Teacher sucks the soul out of
Right.
adults.
I mean, it's true because today, you know what I was so excited about? That it was time for the seasonal lilac hand soap from Ms. Myers. Like, it's true. When you turn the Mrs. Meyer, that brand that's like, so they have lilac hand soap once a year for like 2 weeks.
I know that.
And this was the week. And I was like, yes. So it's true what they say. When you become an adult, you lose your soul and only care about hand soaps. But yeah, so Max's plan is to interrupt the school assembly, impersonate this hip star called Powerline, and get the Roxanne to fall in love with
Here's
him.
what I don't get. Roxanne isn't like really like a cool girl. Like she doesn't seem like popular cheerleader or something that you would like need to go to these lengths. She's like seems pretty down to earth.
Did you see her shag?
Did you see her purple earrings?
Yeah, her earrings are pretty cool. I didn't see too many other people wearing earrings, so I think she's kind of cool. Does she have a shady home life? Yes. Am I worried about Roxanne? Yes.
Am I worried about her mute dad?
Oh my God, so worried. But yeah, so it's an interesting plan, but I think it's one of those things where everybody loves Powerline. If you don't, you're an idiot. And so obviously this is up her alley. So he comes out and they like, hide the principal with this like trap door, and there's this whole production. He's getting like lifted into the air, and there's smoke. I don't know how they pulled this off, or like so much effort went into this. And it's like, what's the end game? So like, was he always expecting to get away with it? He was not expecting the principal would come back. And why are there no other teachers at this school? Is this just a synopsis of questions? It's another question. So the principal interrupts it and they get in trouble, huge trouble. But Roxanne does end up forming a crush on Max. So in the principal's office, Roxanne sees Max, and so she talks to him. And they make plans to go to the live concert viewing of Powerline's concert.
Is this
in
when
LA.
she tells him he tells her some story about how he knows Powerline personally or something?
No, I think that's when he tells her he can't go to the concert. Jumping ahead. But so meanwhile, Goofy, who works at a mall photo studio with his buddy Pete, he is finding that he's just losing connection with his son. They don't seem to be as close as they once were, the age-old problem. So Pete, I think, is bragging about his vacation that he's going to take with his son, Max's friend PJ, and they're going to do all these things and do the great outdoors and blah, 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 blah. And Goofy's like, I want to do that. I did that with my dad. It was great. So he decides he's going to take Max on a trip also. But Max has already told Roxanne he'd go to this thing with her. So, conflict. So, Max gets in trouble. The principal calls the dad. Okay, the principal, way out of line here, is you need to do a better job of raising your child, or he's going to end up in the electric chair.
Whoa, what a jump.
Okay, hold the phone. Are we still using the electric chair in 1995? I guess. B, dark.
Depends what state you're in. Number 2, how does he make a jump from, interrupted like an assembly
Right.
to
And, like,
mass murderer?
Did Max ever do anything else bad? Like
No.
the cheese guy, I get, but
he's
like
just like
leave
a
Max
crazy
alone.
exaggerator.
Makes
Like you said,
one
principal hates
outlandish
his job.
thing.
Shouldn't be a principal anymore.
Jesus, it's
You
not
know,
like
once
he,
you
like-
start hating kids, you got to retire.
Really, yeah, total no so. So Goofy's like, all right, I got to get Max back, so I'm going to take him on this trip. So he surprises Max with this trip, and he's like, get ready, we're going on a trip right now. And Max is like, what? We're not going on a trip. And so here's the rest, most of the rest part of this movie, you guys, is just Max being a total dick to Goofy and Goofy crying. Wow. My heart was not prepared.
I was crying too.
My heart was not prepared to see Goofy upset so many times.
Here's my reaction to literally every scene in the movie. Oh my god!
It was so
when
harsh.
Goofy started crying, or I don't know what it was about seeing Goofy sad. It was like my heart, like it just broke in 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 5
dead.
pieces.
I don't
each
have a
time.
heart. It's gone.
It was,
Max stole
it was
it.
really awful, and it, I mean, you're supposed to feel like that way.
Yeah.
Good job, movie.
Yeah, I mean, Max is just like out of control. Like
Yeah.
he thinks his life is over because he can't go to this fucking like concert viewing of Powerline. Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
So he goes to Roxanne's and he starts telling her he can't go to her with it to this thing with her anymore. And she's like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, I'll just go with someone else. I don't know. And he's like, wait, what? No. And then he's like, you can't. Actually, I'm going to LA to go to the concert, and my dad knows Powerline, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna let me dance on the stage with him. And yeah, and so she's like, are you serious? That's awesome. That's so cool. I'm gonna watch you on TV. And he's like, great. Okay, bye. So now he's like stuck in this crazy ass lie. Like, who spouts off crazy lies like that? Like, that is a jump. Talk about a jump.
Liar.
Like, all you have to be is like, my dad is making me go on a vacation. I don't want to go on. Look at this car that has a pile of shit on the roof. Like, I'm not making this up. Like, what? The evidence is there, Max. But, teenage boys. If I had $1 for every teenage boy trying to impress me, I would have $0 because teenage boys did not do this.
No, they don't.
Where I'm from.
You're so right. That
It's
does not
like
happen.
it is bullshit. This movie just sets you up for failure as a girl. You're like, I can't wait for these guys to be throwing themselves over like each other.
Can't wait for these
to get
guys
to
to make
me.
these elaborate lies and to be like doctoring like atlases to like
Guys are like, listen to how loud I can burp, and it's like, that's like all it is. Cool.
Guys don't put in any effort.
They don't
Zero.
put none.
Zero
No effort. So now he's stuck in this lie, but he's like, I'll figure that out later. So he's on this trip with his dad. It's terrible. His Goofy takes him to like the possum farm, in Hickville.
Okay, hey, it looked fun. The possum hats at first turned me off, but then I was like, those are genius.
Were they real possums? They looked
No.
real.
No, and it was like a rift on like a coonskin cap, but it was like a possum upside down playing dead. You know how they do. Pretty creepy, but really effective. It was like a fun, like hokey little like podunk. I mean, like, was it a dinner
It
show?
reminded me of
kind
like
a
the
thing?
Country Bears
Yes.
Jamboree.
Yes.
Hey, listen, did you know there's possums and also opossums?
Yeah, I know.
You knew that?
Just recently, I found out.
Did I tell you? Because I found out just recently also.
I had to Google it.
We Googled it also because people were using different words, and I was like, "Wait, are they the same
Well,
animal?
I
are they
always
different?"
thought it was just like 2 different spellings of the same animal.
One is in Australia and one is in North America.
I mean, could they make that any more complicated for
I
people?
know.
Put
Talk
one
about
letter?
sweetie confusion. They're just asking for it.
So crazy.
Anyway, so Max, has a couple of outbursts. Is very upset. Goofy cries. It's very sad. They get like locked in a car because Bigfoot is chasing them. They meet up with Pete and Matt and PJ, who have this like deluxe camper with like a bowling alley and a pool and like all this shit. They're like, he's like pretty rude. Pete is like pretty rude, right? He's like I don't know, like Biff or something, or I don't
Yeah.
know, like has all this money but like doesn't help his friend who's a struggling single dad.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like they're
Okay.
keeping whatever that dynamic was from the olden time cartoons where they were kind of like enemies. But it's like Goofy's too nice to realize that guy's kind of an asshole. So it seems like
Frenemies.
they're still friends.
Well, they ditched them when Bigfoot was coming after them. They just like left Goofy and Max to die.
Is really friends with PJ.
Yeah, they seem legit.
Yeah.
They're legit. PJ seems sweet.
Yeah.
I think he's sweet. So yeah, all these adventures, and then Max, they kind of have a breakthrough when they're stuck in the car hiding from Bigfoot, and they're like eating the soup. There's a breakthrough. There's a moment. But then the map pops open for this cross-country fishing trip. And Max is like, oh, easy solution, because the worst thing to him is his friends not seeing him at the concert. Which, like, Max, P.S., you could just be like, hey, it didn't work out. We got there and the timing didn't work out. But I was there. Here's a postcard from somewhere. Like, get over it. So he erases the route that Goofy had put on the map
to Lake Destiny, which looked like it was in like Nevada
Destiny.
or something,
and redraws the route to Los Angeles. We were like, Goofy's not that dumb, right? But no, I mean, he is. But also because Max was navigating, so it's not like Goofy was looking at the map.
Right.
But you can read, I hope, Goofy, and like the sign is like California that way.
But I feel like it was only the very end where you had to make that decision, because they still had to head west so they could do all this stuff.
That's true. Maybe that was the last place before.
And they do all
bailing
this
out.
like fun stuff. So they go to like amusement.
There's a
amusement
montage.
park. Yeah, there's in some lake jet skiing somewhere.
Yeah.
The tire gets flat a bunch of times.
I think it was just one time, but they like changed it finally.
Right.
They stop at this awesome hotel called Neptune's something, and there's like it's like a waterbed with fish. Probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then there in the hot tub, Pete tells Goofy that he overheard Max telling his son that he changed the route on the map to go to LA so he could go to this Powerline concert. And Goofy's like, I don't believe you, Pete. Like, my son wouldn't do that. I love him. He loves me. You're wrong. And then Pete's like, check the map. Check the map. Check the map. So he like goes in the car. He doesn't want to check the map. The thing opens. He's got to check the map. He sees what he did. He's upset. And it's like that time in Harry Potter when Dumbledore gets really mad at Harry, but instead of yelling at him, he just like asks him in a voice like, why did you do this? And that is worse than like somebody losing their mind and freaking out at you. Goofy is just like so dejected and just comes into the room, betrayed, immediately sits in the bed and just like collapses and dies. And it's so sad. And then they get in the car and Goofy gives him like one last chance to not be a fuck up, and is like, which way, Max? Which way? And Max hesitates to the very end, and then I guess he said left. It seemed like Goofy just made a decision. But yeah, he said left, and Goofy's like pretty pissed at this point. Unfortunately, they're on one of those like curvy roads on the Grand Canyon or whatever, and they pull it to the side, but then Goofy, being Goofy, doesn't put it in a park, I guess, and it rolls away. They go after it, and then they fall off a cliff and are like in the river? No. Is that what you call that?
Colorado River goes through the
Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon.
Wow. So now they're on the car, and then they have like more adventures. Max finally tells Goofy like why he's so crazy about going to LA, and Goofy's very sympathetic. He's like, "Oh my God, you have a crush? That's so cute. Like,
should have told him.
Yeah, should have told him from the get-go."
I feel like all these stories can be totally
moral of the story
by just talking to people. You know,
or
just tell your parents.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Has anyone seen Concussion? Because whenever I make that joke, nobody gets it except Emily, sweetie, and it's great.
We only saw the previews like for.
I know. I was trying to explain that to my friends because I think somebody said Concussion 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Tell the truth." Like, what? Yeah, it's Concussion. Will Smith, look it up. Let's see. So, okay, then they go to a waterfall, and it's like pretty dire. Both of them almost die. Max has like a makeshift parachute. He makes it out okay. He rescues Goofy from the falls
by using
the fly fishing technique,
right?
That
his
dad tried to teach him. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Dads are good.
And then they're like, "All right, we got to get to LA. We got a concert to be at." So somehow they get the car back and get to the concert, and they're just like, "Let's do this!" So they sneak into the concert by like squeezing themselves into the musical instrument cases. Like, what are those called? Bags. And Goofy like goes somewhere, and then Max goes somewhere and gets chased by a security guard, and then the Powerline concert starts, and everybody's excited back at home because they're like, we're gonna see Max. I don't believe it. So I still can't believe it, but they both get on the stage. It goes as good as it could ever go. Powerline is intrigued by this weird goofy man doing the fly fishing dance or whatever, and it becomes a hit, and everybody's doing this like kooky dance, and all his friends, and then Max is on there, and all his friends see him. He does this little Powerline impersonation, like walk. He's a hit. Everybody's excited. It goes great. Better than I ever could have planned, right? So back at home, everybody's super excited about it. He goes to see Roxanne. She fucking gives him a kiss on the lips. Can't believe it. He kisses her. Sorry. And she meets Goofy, and then
he does come clean about that. He comes clean that he lied. Powerline.
Yeah. Okay.
But then uses it to like be like, I was using that to impress you, so then I think she kind of like likes him.
And she's like, you didn't need to. Yeah. I already liked you. Like again, moral of the
From
story.
the moment I heard you laugh, I'm like, interesting.
Romantic. Do they end up together? Do they make it?
Do they make it?
Maybe.
They're
I feel like
14.
they maybe got married later.
Wow.
Later? Aren't there like 3 of these movies? I don't know.
There is a sequel. It is called an
extremely goofy movie.
Anyone seen it? What's it about?
I don't think so. But that's the flick, and then they play that song again, and it's great. And it's good. There's definitely a lot of conflict. I would say there's a little too much Goofy crying. I could use some more laughs, people. I could use some laughs. But overall, I thought it was good, wholesome.
Yeah,
great.
Super wholesome, good story. Funny, classic Disney animation. Good to see Goofy not just being Goofy, seeing him be a human, even though he's a dog. Still confused why Goofy wears gloves. I mean,
a lot of them wear. A lot of them do. Max wears gloves. Pete wears gloves.
Oh, okay. Most of
a bunch of them do.
What's up with that?
And then Mickey wears gloves.
When's the last time you saw a dog wear a glove?
And they have these weird, like, black feet with 4 toes. And then I would assume their hands are black, too. But, like, I just don't get it.
And then what's with the dog teeth? Extremely, like, gapped. They only have 4 teeth, and there's, like, an extreme gap in between.
The Goofy breed?
Yeah.
Or the other?
No,
they have, like,
Pete
2 teeth. But some just have... didn't Roxanne have, like, normal teeth?
She was basically
she had, like, people
a
teeth.
hot babe.
She was a hot babe with a dog nose. I will maintain that.
And it was even a cute dog nose. It wasn't a snout. It was like a button
Sweetie
nose.
and I will say that Roxanne looked like a mom, like somebody's mom, just like someone's short mom. Yeah. But I think she was someone that the boys were very interested in when they watched this. And I know for a fact Alex Martin was very into Roxanne. Still is.
Well, I'm glad to hear it because we've talked about how we've had crushes on animated guide, like whether it's a dog, a fox,
the tramp,
a rat, or
who
a
had
mouse.
A crush on a rat?
No. Okay, obviously not me. I hate rats. Rescuers Down Under, Jack Rabbit mouse.
Oh my God, yes, I love him.
It was probably the accent.
They're a mouse. Yeah, they're mice. They're mice
with big feet. Yeah. Big feet.
What? You know what they say about big feet.
The bigger the
big mouse dick. Gross.
But that's good to know. Yeah. I wonder what other cartoon women that
Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah. Okay.
Lady from Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, I love to hear that about. Maybe there's in a Goofy World. There's a podcast with 2 sweeties that are men. And they do what we do.
Wow. You're really taking that
male perspective.
Multiverse to the new level.
Turn it on its head. Upside down world. Yes,
wow. Okay, I did notice there were like a couple of weird parts in this that like just seemed out of place and or strange. The first one. Goofy seems to be pretty skilled at photographing children who don't want to have their pictures taken.
I thought you were going to say who don't want to have pants on.
Okay, spoiler, that's what I'm getting to. So then Pete, who's like, super jackass, I'm rich, doesn't matter. He is not good at taking pictures of children when they don't want. And his technique is to stick like Velcro on a child's butt and then put Velcro on the table and then stick them there so they're stuck and they can't move.
Okay, I missed that.
So then she finally he leaves her there and she gets up to go. And then you just see her walk by all these adult people dogs with a bare ass. And she's like a small girl. And it was really out of place and
But she
uncomfortable.
was a dog, though.
Yes, but for all intents and purposes, they look like people.
Yeah, that was a person's butt.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They have human characteristics on their bodies, and it was just very off-putting. And I was like, I don't think that child's naked bottom should be. It's not. This isn't
weird.
Donald Duck.
It felt very weird for cartoons.
It did really inappropriate.
There was a legit crack.
Yeah, it was crazy.
There were cheeks.
So that was weird part number 1. Weird part number 2, there's a scene where Max and Goofy are having their montage, I think, and they're interacting with this Goofy mime. And you're like, oh, this is funny. Goofy mime, that's fun, haha. And then all of a sudden, this giant piano comes crashing down and kills the Goofy mime. And we're just and Goofy and Max hoo-doo-doo-doo-doo, didn't see anything. Bye.
The joke was Goofy mimed cutting a rope with a pair of scissors. So it was supposed to be a joke on
I get it.
mime. And
I
then
get
the piano fell out of the sky. Goofy didn't know the mime rope actually connected to a real piano.
Did it? I don't think it did. Maybe I think it was just a
the
coincidence. But who? It just seemed pretty bleak. He was dead, and that was it. Typically, cartoon characters don't die. In Wile E. Coyote and those things, right? It's you never see them actually die. Yeah. But this seemed like that mime was kind of dead. It just seemed tonally a little different. So those are the weird things. I'm sure there's more if I studied it or rewatched it, but those are the things that stuck out.
I noticed the animation was so fast and included so many things. If you blinked, I feel like you'd miss an animated joke.
There were probably dicks and tits all over that movie and we didn't even notice.
Well, there was a lot of, you know what they always say in Disney movies, the hidden Mickey.
I saw a Mickey right in front of my face. Well, his alarm clock was Mickey.
Oh, okay. There's a couple of them. I didn't bother to look because
it's a world where Mickey exists. It's weird.
Yeah, they talked about Disney a lot. They play this game in the car all the time. That's let's guess who I'm basically a 20 questions game. Guess who I'm talking about. And it always starts with is it a man or a woman? And then if it's a man,
it's a dog.
They always guess Walt Disney.
Yeah, it's
so there's all these little Disney inside jokes. But yeah, really cute movie. Glad we watched it. Totally understand why people would be obsessed with this. And it, you know what it made me think of? I don't do this anymore because I'm an adult. But how when you like something when you were little, you could watch it all the time. So if this was your favorite movie, you could watch this 3 times a week. And when you were little, you'd be like, Dad, Mom, can I watch a very goofy movie? And you would never get sick of it. I can't tell you the last time I watched something twice in a row, and not in the past years apart.
A couple of weeks ago, I was on a Marvel bender, and I was I'm gonna watch Endgame, and then I watched Infinity War, and I was I'm gonna watch Endgame again, and then
oh my God, you're a child.
2 nights later. But I have always been like that. Hello, you're talking to the girl who watched Babe the Gallant Pig every day for a year. I just like rewatching things because I like absorbing it and seeing all the things and experiencing it again.
I didn't do that as much as other kids, I feel except my aunt claims that the only movie I did always request was one of myself. A family video.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
I don't know what that says.
We're obsessed with those family videos. I love those movies too. They're one of my favorite movies. But overall, good flick. I'm glad we watched it and we now know what the dealio is.
All the fuss is about.
But it's good. It's a great little flick. It's on Disney Plus. You can watch it. I think the sequel's on Disney Plus too. Oh, yeah. So get there and watch it.
A very goofy weekend.
A very goofy weekend. So anything else, sweetie, you would like to mention?
No, that's it.
That's all right. Well, thank you as always for listening. You can find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge. Sent us. Thank you as always for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Roxanne's dad is total rape artist.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
Save Roxanne.